Okay, so we have shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles. Here's the middle of your spine coming all the way up and down, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles. If you don't have a 90-degree angle at each joint, meaning that the joint is straight across from the other and straight up and down from the one that's the shoulder, for example, this being the hip, this should be straight up and down from the shoulder and the knee. If that does not exist, if it's an elevated pelvic girdle, if it's a depressed shoulder girdle and a medially rotated knee, this on the inactive population is going to show up as a symptom. But it's definitely going to show up on the running population. So then, with 80% of the population in chronic pain, it's because they've deviated from the normal 90-degree angle rule. The shoulder, the hip, the knee, and the ankle being vertically aligned. So I drew the side view photograph so that you can see how the shoulder, the hip, the knee, and the ankle should be sitting directly above each other. Okay, now we didn't make any of this up. This is very well known throughout the literature. The idea that you have a neutral pelvic tilt, okay, that's straight. From the side view, when you're like this, if you have a neutral pelvic tilt and all your joints are aligned, you have a natural S-curve to your spinal column. That's efficient. It's a spring-loaded, shock-absorbing system. Each vertebrae has a direct tie to the one above it, but it also has an indirect tie from the base to the top of the apex. Very simply, if your shoulders are rounded forward, someone of you standing there and you can see that their shoulder does this, their head is forward, so their nose is up here, but they still focus on the horizon, so their head goes up, and they wonder why, wow, the base of my neck and back hurts. When this happens, and the shoulder's rounded, the hip starts to tilt, the knee starts to bend, could be, or it starts to hyperextend. Either way, once this pelvis starts moving forward, you now have a person whose vertical line is still going straight up. That's gravity. But their accommodation to gravity has changed. They've now taken a vertical load, shock-absorbing, spring-loaded system, and they've now made it look like this. There's no shock absorption to that. It's going to collapse upon itself. This one recovers. And this one just collapses on itself. And so the symptom of low back pain, or piriformis syndrome, or hip flexor spasm, or deep abdominal pain, or digestive problems, all centered in this area, are all due to an inadequate pelvic tilt. One side may be different from the other because you have two sides of your pelvis. That's called a disparity. More importantly, this disparity then it starts manifesting itself into compensations within the spine and then compensations down to the whole lower extremity. I mean, look at this mess. You want to get back to the blue model, which is shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles. And I can't stress enough that this isn't rocket science. So the things you can do, you can look in the mirror, get a visual idea, standing with your feet wherever they are comfortably, make a mental note, have somebody take your side view and go, wow, your head's really forward. Knowing that the vertical load is what's correct. If you can look in this article, you'll see that it's straight up and down. The second one is close your eyes, the closed eye test. Where's your body weight from left to right or from front to back in each foot? Do you have more weight in your heels or the balls of your feet? Or is it evenly loaded? And the third one is the forward flexion test, like a sit and reach that you used to do years ago in school. A very functional test as long as you're not testing for hamstring flexibility. This is an overall strength and movement mechanism test for your pelvis. If that pelvis isn't moving, then the upper body compensates and really starts to round over to get you to the floor. We've got to reestablish that pelvis as the mover. the following exercises that we're going to run you through are based on a sequence. So it'd be very important for you to keep them in sequence. They're not real long, maybe 20, 25 minutes at the most. One idea I want you to think about going through them is, how did the exercises feel yesterday versus today? How are they going to feel tomorrow versus the next day? Keep a little log for yourself to feel how your body, as you're going into the upper spinal floor twist, I'm really tight, and then 3 days later you can get to the ground. Make sure you're still doing it right, because your body may have slid and you may be cheating it a little bit, but as long as you're doing them right, again, this isn't rocket science, your body has no choice but to succumb to the demand and get you more functional. Your shoulders will be in a better position, your pelvis will be in a, for sure, better position. Out of a disparity in its tilt, we want balance from left to right. That in turn will allow you an equal stride while you're running. And again, let's take that away from back pain for a second, take it over here to efficiency. Once your body's balanced and functional, you're going to run efficiently. And that's what we're all looking for.